So I'm Prashanto Roy. I'm an advisor with Cybermedia and I'm a technology writer with a strong interest in energy and green areas. So for instance, I've just built the first the first individual home to go for a green rating with Terry Griha.
Prashanto, how do you see the current ICT landscape in India? What are the opportunities? What are the challenges?
Well, clearly ICT is a very strong component of the Indian landscape now because it accounts for about 9.7% of our GDP directly, and it affects another 60-70% of GDP because they also use ICT. So we are talking of directly or indirectly affecting about 60-70% of GDP and work. The challenges are really to project forward and see where the opportunities and threats will lie. For example, we may be looking at BPO as a huge place where there is about 1 million people employed now, and more people are coming in, they're being trained. But in the background, there's technology which is actually overtaking this progression curve. And there might be a situation in the next 2 to 3 years where about 60-70% of calls are automated from the current 30 to 40%. In which case, you'll suddenly have a mismatch between the oversupply of people trained in a certain way and the demand which is for a different type of thing. It's for high-end technology and IP. And that could mean loss of jobs, it could mean reverse outsourcing. So I think we are looking at a very healthy situation right now, but with dangers which are imminent out there which we need to look out for.
Yeah. Prashanto, we are talking too much about internet penetration and connectivity broadband. But in the recent studies and in your recent article, as you mentioned, that still internet penetration is very low in India, like nation, just 3%. So how it can change can be game changer in India?
Well, I think the thing to say about internet penetration is that if you look at focused use of the internet for specific applications, now that has really been ramping up. The current figure from TRAI is 198 million, and most of that is mobile. 9 out of 10 users of internet there are mobile. And they're using it for very specific things. For instance, Facebook for every mobile, which is essentially Facebook for a feature phone, for a simple feature phone application. Or they're using operator portals. Okay, so this is not blanket high-speed internet access or 3G or any of this. This is simply some form of limited internet access. Compared with that, what is really low is broadband penetration. Broadband penetration is only 15 million in a country of 1.2 billion, and that absolutely needs to go up. But I think the real steps ahead we will see are going to be on the mobile and using and leveraging the mobile.
As an ICT expert, what is your message to the government and policy makers?
Well, I really think that the government and policymakers have to look very hard at projections of where the current professions and the current demands are going and project them ahead into the next 5 years or up to 2020 and try and look at the demand there rather than simply looking at today and planning to pour in a lot of funds into training organizations and so on to train people based on today, because you will land up with this huge demand supply mismatch. In other words, they really need to look strategically at where we want to be in 2020.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.